It's not that I need Bree. Like, I want my wife. I want to have this life. I want to do life with her. I don't need, when you become needy, you become like another kid to your wife. You become a little whiny kid. Welcome, Life in Abundance. We are moving right along through the holiday season. Bree had some big things happen yesterday. It all came to an end, an era.
Yeah, it's the beginning always starts with an ending, some way, shape, or form, as weird as that is. Yeah, so yesterday was my last official day in the salon. After, 20 years standing behind the chair, I've decided to step away from my salon chair and pursue coaching full time. So life is going to look very different for me next week, and I'm really excited, but feeling all sorts of waves of emotions. And how this came about, though, it's interesting. God brings this peace over you when you know that what you're doing is truly aligning with His will for you. And that was something that hit me kind of between the eyes earlier this year, and I could not ignore it. So I've felt this urge and this draw to lead women in a different way since maybe really like the beginning of April, May. I stepped into this class we talk about all the time down in Dana Point, and serving in this atmosphere completely different than my salon. I found myself just stepping into this coaching role naturally. And as that evolved, I became more and more interested in it and intrigued by it all, and just pursuing that was something that naturally happened. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go for this. It's over time. I felt like that heaviness on my heart of like, okay, I'm meant to step outside of my salon, outside of my chair, and serve women in a way that I've never been able to before, because I was so limited in time, restricted with project to project behind my chair, if you will. You start a client and you're committing 3-4 hours with an extension client. And so I don't want to say stuck there, but that's the truth, is I was in this place where I couldn't really serve outside of that area in the midst of that project. So anyways, I felt this heaviness coming over me, and in July, it was made known to Mark and I, just truly, we had this calling over our life to serve others in a way that we have not been. And as much as our careers have served us with the most beautiful life, I really couldn't have asked for more. I just felt like there was more for us, and we were cutting ourselves short if we did not explore those options. So in July, we made the decision that we were both going to pursue coaching. And then in October, I laid in bed with my baby girl, and she's 10 years old and just the most beautiful soul you ever knew. And she was laying there, and she just started crying, and she says, "Mama, can I tell you something?" And every mom's heart drops when your kids say that, I said, "Of course, you can tell me anything." She says, "Sometimes I pray to be an only child again." And I said, "Oh, babe, that just broke my heart for her, because I know what she meant. She didn't know how to say it, but she said, I love my sisters, but I just want to go back to time when you were more available." And I was like, oh my gosh, it hit me between the eyes that I had to do something different. And as much as I love the salon and the environment and what I do there, I know that my calling to serve my family and the women in my household alone is probably the greatest calling over my life, is to raise these God-fearing women to be dominant and confident and just embrace who they are as individuals. And I have put that responsibility on the back burner for so long, building my career, and I can't do that anymore. I know that this is what I'm meant to do, and coaching will allow me to still provide and be more present in my home for them, and that I'm looking forward to more than I ever thought I would. Leading up to this, I was so nervous about it and sad. Really, I felt like I was mourning like a death of someone. But that's really what has happened, is I have to let my old self die in order to be reborn in some other way. And I've felt all the emotions this week going through it.
Yeah. No, I was going through the same thing a couple months ago, and I had a month left of training, and it was like as it got closer and closer, you just get that like that itch to be done, and you know that it's the right thing to do, and it's scary because the unknown. It's scary because financial and all that kind of stuff, and when you just dive straight in, it's scary, but at the same time, like that's what you have to do to succeed, and sometimes that's what God wants you to do.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's something that now looking back after 4 months and closing out the year and seeing the clients that I have got and all that comes along with it, and the freedom that comes with it, it's like, man, like I'm so glad that I chose this and that I listened to God and I was able to hear him. A lot of people talk about what they want to do and they think what they want to do, and then when the time comes, they just stay in the same rut. They stay in the same position they were in because it's comfortable. And that's something that our coach mentioned to us a couple weeks ago. We were down there, and he said, to the outside world, what you're doing looks absolutely crazy. Like you're giving up a good life. Yeah. And he said, most people want happiness. I want freedom. And freedom is something that you have to do. Freedom is saying no to a lot of things that make you happy, because everyone wants to be happy, but not many people know how to get freedom, and that's peace. And by doing this, it creates freedom in our life because we're saying no to a lot of things that we used to say yes to. And I've experienced a little bit of that freedom, and man, the fruit is so much sweeter on that side. Yeah. And just in my routine in the morning, by going to the gym, by staying consistent, by doing those things, the freedom's there, and I can't wait to get this going for a full year this coming year, and getting us in the coaching thing together. It's pretty cool to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, no, it's so powerful. And to piggyback off of that, as we were talking about giving up things, I had such a scarcity mindset to do this jump because there's a risk when you live in an abundance, right? My business for NBR, Natural Beta Row Extension Method, is the type of extensions I specialize in, if you did not know that. And to build this book of business to 90 clients, I did that in 11 months, and that's almost like unheard of. I just knew I was determined to hit this target, and I converted about 45 of my existing clients to this extension method, and then recruited another 45 clients or so throughout that year of new clients. And then to maintain that and filter them into my salon to be where I was, or am, I guess, as of yesterday, it seems absolutely crazy. And in the world of coaching that I'm in with hairdressers and salon owners, they are like, Bree, we want to be where you are. And what a compliment. But the truth is, like, where I'm at, I have now outgrown, and I have to make the next jump. And what that looks like is the risk of jumping from abundance back into scarcity because you're scared. That's the truth. It's a scary shift. It's a scary move. And there is a lot that you could lose, but there's also so much you can gain. And when you know what you're capable of to reach to the point where I was in business for extensions, I know I can reach that in coaching, because the mindset, it doesn't change. It's the target changes. So I still am the same person. Somebody wrote this on a post this morning. It's like still the same soul, just now a different target. And what I'm going to put into coaching is what I put into NBR to grow the business to where it was. And now for coaching, I now know that so well. I'm like, I'm going to 10x that also. So it's super powerful when you look at what you've done. Give yourself some credit. And one thing like Mark is great about doing that I am not so much is expressing gratitude for the things that you have done. And we do this process called stacking. If you've watched any of our other podcasts, you've heard us talk about it, but we stack our feelings in this basically walk and talk with God. And as you acknowledge what you have done, and you are so grateful for the leaps that you've made, and thinking of the like scarcity mindset you had to overcome to do those things is super powerful. And then you insert that same knowledge and power into something you don't know and let it go, because that is something that's familiar, something you do know. So anyways, for me, looking into the future with coaching, what that looks like, I'm not really sure. My schedule, my day-to-day life, I'm not really sure, but I know what it does look like is something similar to what I experienced behind my chair, and that's empowering women, exposing them to a life they didn't know that was possible for them, and helping them create a clear path of how to get there. And I know for myself, having to look at the identity of who I am now is somebody different than who I was as that stylist, as that salon owner, even as that coach in that capacity. I'm now at a different level in my career that I am pursuing at a, now like more intensity, I guess. I don't know how to put that into words, but yeah, so I'm excited. I was so nervous and I was so emotional, and this week is like a double whammy because my lead stylist, who's been with me for 11 years, she's actually going out on her own to open her own salon. And as a mama in the salon, this is what you want, is to raise your chicks up to leave you. But when they do, there's so many emotions that come with that are hard. And so to be in this transition that's hard enough in itself for me to be stepping away, now to lose my lead stylist, that is even harder. So it's like sometimes you run to hard for growth, and most people can't comprehend that. That's something that we're doing daily, it seems like.
Yeah, most people don't want hard.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's it's so simple, but it's so hard to do, because to put yourself through pain, it's just like in the gym, right? Like, why would you do that? Sometimes people always why would you work that hard? But then you also get the results. Yeah. And it's the same thing with what we're doing right now. It's like, we're giving up something good for possibly something great and a lot more freedom. Mm-hmm. And it's taken us a while to wrap our head around that. Mm-hmm. We knew God was calling us to do that, but it's one of those things where you're like, are we really sure we should be doing this? Mm-hmm. This could really not go well. Yeah. And we have 3 kids. We got,
there's a lot on the line.
Yeah, a lot on the line. Mm-hmm. And so, for us, man, I've really enjoyed the process of doing the boring things every day and the pain of it, because that was what makes you grow, and that what makes it all worth it at the end of it is the story and the pain that you go through to get there, because then you can tell other people that you've experienced it. And that's what's so great about this coaching thing, is that we are living what we preach. Mm-hmm. And we have lived it, and we tell our clients everything that we do. And so we don't tell people to do things that we don't do ourselves.
Well, and there's no hiding in it. You're fully exposed, and that's another thing you have to be willing to give up, is a little bit of that privacy. And I don't even mean necessarily privacy, but you have to show your fruit. And with that sometimes comes exposing some ugly things. And what Mark and I have endured as a couple, we've talked about this, and it's going to probably make me cry, but every time Mark says the word porn, I die inside. I have so much trauma from that word, and what we've had to overcome in our marriage alone to be where we are is I have to allow that to have power for him. And I have transformed that in my mind and in my life to be part of my story, but not defining who I am. And for us to move forward as we have, I look at Mark differently, because he overcame something that most people lie about and are in denial about in life. And to expose yourself like that, to go back to that, is recognizing some really hard truths that people don't want to say out loud, because for one, it's embarrassing or it's humiliating, or however you want to look at it. As for me, it's something that we've overcome, and just gratitude, stacking that up daily as evidence, proof of how I am the way I am, who I am as this person now. I've had to overcome all of those things and endure a lot, and I can say that I've done that with my partner, and we are so much better for it. But I had to come to a place of surrendering that privacy, if you will, to look something in the face and move on from it. And I'm not saying in a marriage you have to expose all these things to the world. This is what we are doing in coaching so that we can be relatable to people, because the truth is people relate in pain. Every client that comes to me for coaching, they maybe want to be where I am in the hair world, and I can tell them how to do that. But the truth is, I can relate to them in the painful place that they are in because I was there. And so they choose me to coach them because I know what it's like to overcome where they are and to be where I am. So same for Mark and I in coaching couples. We just had this conversation this morning of what would it look like if we took on a couple, and what that could be like is you align and kind of ignite the fire and the passion within the couple. Like, you're unstoppable. And that's something I was looking for in Mark, is I wanted a marriage with a man who was unshakable. And he could not give me that faking it. He had to become the person that he is by doing all the daily, boring, routine things so that he was not shook when our foundation would shake, if you will, like me completely transforming my career path. That's something that can make you or break you, right? It's something that could wreck you. And for us, I just said, hey, this is my last year doing hair. He's like, let's go. It wasn't a fear triggered. It wasn't this like, how could you do that? What are you thinking? What do you mean? It was like, yeah, and when? How soon can we go? And I can say we wouldn't have had that same conversation with that same response even a year ago, babe. No, right? Yeah.
No chance, not even 6 months ago.
And I'm able to do it because I can lean into my unshakable foundation in him that I have invested so much in the last year into building trust with Mark, and same for him. But we know that that balance that we've created in our life is something that we can lean into when we do have things that we're living in chaos, like the transfer or transition like we're going through. And it's not long term, it's not forever, it's just something different and new right now. And soon it's going to become routine and we'll know it well, and then it's time to change again. Yeah. We don't ever get too comfortable.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, that's what I've realized in the last year, is that you have to build such a good foundation to like hear God and know what you're supposed to do. It's like building the home. Like the longest time is the planning phase, the plans, and then pouring the foundation. Like it takes years, and then to build the house takes like 6 months.
Yeah.
And so, and it's because it's important to have that firm foundation, and that's the only way I know for me and Bree to be able to go into this coaching thing, is that our foundation is solid. And there have been no way a year ago, 2 years ago that I could have done this. And if Bree was doing it, I would have fought her the whole time, just like when she did MBR. Like I remember her spending like $7,500 for your first program.
Yeah, and then I was like, and by the way, I'm staying in a suite without you.
And so it was like $7,500, and I was like, that's that you're out of your mind to pay that for coaching. And then I fought her the whole entire time, and I made the process so unenjoyable for her that like I almost wanted her to lose. And she won without me. And now looking back, I was like, man, what would it have been like if I would have just said and fully surrendered and had a good foundation? Things might have been different. And now going to this coaching thing, I know that the way I've been reacting and the way that I've been handling things myself, that we have a lot better chances of succeeding going into this than we did if I would fight it and go kicking and screaming, right? It's like anything else. It's like when you have kids and they're kicking and screaming to not go, right? It's so much harder. But when they're like, oh yeah, let's go to Disneyland, and they're so happy, it's like,
so
compliant.
My gosh.
Yeah, so compliant.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's been a crazy 4 months, 5 months.
It has. And it seems like you're looking at it in the day-to-day, like this is taking forever. Yeah. But then when I look back, it's like we were at January 1 not that long ago, and here we are coming up on January 1 again. It's just wild to see what we've done in a year, and it's like huge changes that we could have never predicted back then, So really,
I just read a stack. It was a one from January 12th of last year. I read it this morning, actually. It popped up on my app, and it was I'm going to lose Bree. That was the title of it. And what it was, I had a nightmare that Bree was telling me that she was going to leave me because I wasn't making enough money. And I just was in the stack, was like God, like, I know I'm on the right track, but I just need clarity of what I need to do. And that was in January.
Wow.
And I was just like, man, I need clarity. I need clarity. Cause like, if I don't get it, I don't think Bree and I are going to survive. And it was crazy because I didn't get clarity until into July, and that was January. So that's 7 months. And now it's like become even more and more clear. And it was like where I was a year ago compared to now is completely different headspace.
Yeah.
And it's because I have the foundations, because I fully have transformed, and I've been able to have the routine. I stopped lying to myself. I stopped doing things that didn't add value to my life. And, man, it's like crazy where you can go in a year, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I have a hard time always looking back and see where I've came from. I always like look to the future about what I don't have or what I could have, but to sit there and look back and like just in a short 12-month span, like how far we have came as a couple, as a person, it's been pretty cool.
Well, and two, stacking helps you document all of that. So it is a way to look it in the face and be like, oh yeah, actually I do remember being here. And it's funny as you say that, I've never wanted Mark to make more money. Let's just kind of set the record straight. What I've wanted Mark to want is to want something, to love something. And I think that was so hard on our marriage. I didn't realize in the time he loves health and fitness, but hated training. You know, just he didn't feel fulfilled by it. When somebody wins, like then you feel you win. Yeah, that's awesome. But that's not every day. For me, I see a transformation in the mirror and I see a woman's life come to life, or her face come to life when she sees herself. That's extremely fulfilling for me. And so I had this passion for hair and that connection with women in my mirror. But Mark didn't have that in training, would you say? No? Mm-mm. And so it was exhausting for me to want him to want something more than training. For him, he made a great living training. We had a good life. It was a wonderful career, but it wasn't something that fueled his passion. It just was there. And you become almost ungrateful in the midst of that. It's like almost resentful. Like, I got to do this again. And I was finding myself becoming that way a little bit in doing hair. And as soon as I recognized that about it, it's like, nope, time to switch it up and to grow. And I became more and more resentful, not even towards hair, but towards the people who were living life with my kids, who I wouldn't want anyone else to be doing that, but, besides myself, but them. But then I became so resentful that I couldn't be there to do it. And it made me mad. And I was like, well, what am I going to do to change this? And it had to start with me and creating time and space for them. And so that change wasn't like, get rid of these people who are taking care of my kids. It's like, change my situation so I can become more available to do the things that I want to with them. So I know for you, when you were going through that career shift, I was so excited. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how we're going to make any money doing this. I don't care. If it's something that you want, I fully support it. And how soon can we go? And that was the same response that I got from Mark in doing coaching, which is very different than the response as I told him, I'm going to go do extensions and I'm going to charge $4,000 for this. And he's like, no, you're not. Watch me. And now it's like kind of fueled my fire too. It's like Mark thought that was crazy. And while I was at my convention, before I was even certified in this extension method, I collected 3 deposits there. And he's like, okay. So as the money started coming in, he could see that it was possible. But then once I hit my number, it was like, holy shit, if I would have got on board, we could have done this way faster. So for us to be aligned and in unity in where we want to go, both individually and together, is so powerful and different for me than what I felt in the past in doing, somewhat of a switch in my career. So I'm looking forward to that, and it's exciting. It feels good. It feels right. And that's the most important thing, I think, going through this process right now, is that I have peace with it. Because as I was fighting it and resisting it throughout the year, I didn't have peace about it really until October. And it's funny how God uses from the mouth of babes to get to your heart. I had to hear it from my daughter in her like crying words of, Mama, I need you to be more available, for me to really get it. And so that shook me, and I haven't been the same since then. I haven't gone back to like, well, I still have to do it. No, I don't have to do anything. I'm choosing to be available to my children.
No, I think that's what we want for all couples, is because Bree has always been like, hey, if it makes you better, if you want to do this, like, let's go.
And I've never asked how much it is.
Yeah,
I'm
never,
like, almost like the more the better. Perfect. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What do we got to do?
And it was like, what do we got to sell? What do we got to, do to get it done? And I was never like that. I never invested in myself. I never did those things. And now that I've done it, and I'm like all about it, like what it cost, what like the time, all those things. And when couples can both get on board with that, like that's one thing with my routine. I have some like non-negotiables, and one is like I go to the gym on Saturday and Sundays at 6:15, and then during the week I go after the kids go to school, and it's like that's my thing that I do. And so Bree lets me do those things because she knows it makes me better. Mm-hmm. Where a lot of couples they'll like fight people on things because they're like, well, that doesn't make my routine set up as how I want it and all those things. And so one thing in our marriage is there's a lot of give and take, and we always know what like things we need, and because that makes us better. Mm-hmm. And the best version of myself showing up is going to be the best version for my kids and for my wife, and make our marriage just as good or better.
Yeah.
By me taking care of myself. And then that's what I think the biggest thing for you is that you realize you didn't take care of yourself for a long time, and now you're putting yourself first.
Yeah. It's exciting to look forward to. Like my 2024 goals is just to become stronger in all 4 areas of my life. That is my word for 2024, and that first has to start with my physical body. I cannot lift my kids without like my back hurting. It's so pathetic, but it's true. I'm like, I say all the time the definition of skinny fat, but I have very little core strength, and that is my goal for 2024 is I want to be strong in all areas of my life, and that's a non-negotiable. So what that entails is that I have to have a routine similar to Mark's, maybe not in a physical gym, but I have to be dedicated to that, and there's no compromising that. It's a non-negotiable, and as long as Mark's on board, I know I can do it because I need his help with the kids to be able to do it. So for us, this is an agreement that we have, and it's a non-negotiable. So nobody's mad when one person has to go to the gym or figure their self out to be the better version of themselves, because we're in agreement there. But I can tell you this, there was a point in our marriage where Mark could not communicate what he wanted. Mm-hmm. When we asked in the car, like, okay, what do you want for dinner? We got in more fights talking about where to go for dinner because Mark couldn't tell me what he wanted because he knew I didn't want Chipotle or whatever it is.
Bree is...
Don't you say that.
I'm going to say picky. But
I am not. I'm particular. I know what I want. That annoys like people. Things. That annoys people who don't know what they want. It just comes down to that fact.
It's picky.
Anyways, my point is...
Even our guy Kevin, who does videos, he's laughing because he's like, that's picky. And he's put his headphones back on, so he's not listening to anymore.
Remove yourself from the convo, Kev. No, I'm particular because I know what I want. I can get a salad anywhere. That makes me happy.
But you don't like Chipotle salads?
No, I don't. I don't.
So you can't get a salad anymore?
No, I can't. I just don't get it the way that I want it. I can still have that. It's just not my choice. Yeah. Anyways, what my point is there was a long time in our marriage where I would get so frustrated with Mark because he wouldn't voice to me what he wanted. Where now, as he's become more certain in himself, in his routine, he has more certainty in being able to communicate what he wants. It's like I can just flat out say, okay, well, you can have that. I don't want that, though. And before, we could never do that without getting into a fight.
What's been the biggest thing that I'm more certain about?
I don't want to say on our podcast, but he tells me what he needs from me as his wife to deliver in all areas of our love languages, and physical touch being one of them. And I like that. I like that he can tell me this is what I want. Perfect. Good.
Why is it different now coming from me than like a year ago?
Because I feel like you have a different respect and appreciation for me, and it comes out of love and desire.
Is it because I'm showing up different? Is you're able to hear me differently?
Yeah, every day. Every day. Where before I would be like, no thanks, maybe later. And now
So-
I'm like, okay, I'm happy
So,
about that.
guys listening out there, because I learned this the hard way, because men want two things in life. They want to get paid. They want to get laid. Okay. The only way you get those two things is if you stop lying to yourself, especially, and to others. And so what I realized was kind of crazy is I was lying to myself in so many aspects of, like, if it was looking at porn, if it was drinking, if it was going to the gym, not going to the gym, like watching Netflix, like whatever it might be. I was like, wow, I'm really not making the best version of myself. Mm-hmm. And so I really set out in the last year or two to like figure out like what routine works for me and habits and what I was lying about and when you stop lying about and all those things. And I was able to talk to my wife in a way of certainty, and because I was doing the work every day and I wasn't missing, like going to the gym. Yeah, I know she was pissed that it was like a Sunday morning and it was 6:15. The kids haven't slept, but I'm going to the gym. Like at the end, like she's pissed, but then all at the same time she's like, okay, like I see you doing that, like which that creates more confidence and certainty in her, which then I can go, hey, I don't want to do this. I want to do this and do those kind of things. And so men, if you're listening, the reason why you might not be getting fun time with your wife or might not be doing those things is because you're not showing up on a consistent basis the same person. Because I know for me, for years, I was Mr. Inconsistent.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm not drinking. Oh, I'm drinking. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I did that. Oh, I need to get in better shape, but I don't really go to the gym or whatever it might be, right? I always had a little dad bod and like that was okay and all that kind of stuff. And
well, it just led me to question your integrity and your motive.
yeah.
Where now I don't have to do that because it is all out there. And when you expose yourself like that with the person that you love the most and you can truly be vulnerable, it just adds a different dynamic to your relationship that I think people sometimes go their whole life not knowing. So for me, I'm so thankful that in my 30s, I get to experience that with my husband for another 30 more years. And that's super powerful for me. And to feel, like I said, desired and wanted in a different way. Like your husband's pursuing you and he's doing all the work also without any other intention other than you seeing him show up. That changed everything for me.
How much more attractive?
You just want me to pump you
up.
I
do,
right
but
now,
this is mainly for the men out there. No, it's for the men out there because it's one of those things where, yes, it just pumped me up. At the same time, it's like I missed it for so many years as a guy.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like,
he wanted compliments for shit he wasn't doing.
And most guys miss it that I talk to. It's like they think because they either make the money or because they do the laundry or they do all those things, right? And like for years, I would like do the laundry. I would make dinner.
Check the boxes. And
like, hey, babe, see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And I need a, treat for that. And you're like, well, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like you're an adult with kids and you have a home and those things, right? And when I changed my mindset of like, okay, I don't need to do these. I want to do them. And like, not everyone wants to do laundry. I get that, right? But as I did it with a different mindset of like, hey, I'm doing this, not expecting anything from it.
Well, and to do it, it's not even like you said, nobody wants to do laundry. It's you want to do life with your partner. And that's part of doing life with your partner. And then you get to enjoy other things together too. Yeah. And for a long time, yeah, it was like, hey, look at all the boxes I checked, which I don't need you to check the boxes. What I need you is to want to be here and to want me and desire me. And so it was funny to come to the realization, like, what do you mean? All the things I did on the list doesn't get you excited?
For years.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It frustrates me, actually. Because I'm like, you needed the car washed, not me. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for washing my car, but that was something that made you feel good. You never asked me, did I want that? So, and what I usually want from Mark is for him to want something for himself. Be better for yourself.
Yeah.
And this has been the year that has been his focus, and I respect that and I protect that. So if there's days where Mark's like, oh, I'm skipping the gym today, I I have PTSD. I'm like, wait, why? Why are you skipping the gym? That I don't want to go backwards. And he's like, no, I have 5 days a year that I give myself. This is one of my days. I'm like, I don't think it should be one of your days. Your days should be like the day you have COVID or something, not today. And so before you know it, I mind F him, and then he's off to the gym. Yeah. But because I don't want him to go backwards, I'm invested now in the gym for him as much as he is, if not more, because I have benefit from Mark doing the things, and some of it starts at the gym. That's his morning routine. So anyways, but it speaks volumes when a couple can get on the same page and want the same things, not for together even, but just for one another individually. And that, I feel like my year coming up, of what my new life is going to look like and a new routine and all of that, it requires something different from us. And if we're not both on board, it's not going to happen. If I'm not on board for Mark to go to the gym every morning because he has to help me with the kids, it's going to tear us apart, not bring us together. So, instead of fighting it, I embrace it, and then I'm helpful when it comes time to do that. So, anyways, for everybody, I feel like that path is different. What those tasks are different. But for us, that's something that's a non-negotiable. Yeah,
and I mean, going into coaching and leaving our careers, we don't need to go into coaching. We want to go into coaching. We choose it. And that's a whole different ball game, is when you want something compared to need it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I am, by being daily routine and knowing what you want in life individually, not just what your wife wants, but what I want, and then what Bree wants, and then we come together about, as a couple, what we want. And it's not that I need Bree. Like, I want my wife. I want to have this life. I want to do life with her. I don't need, when you become needy, you become like another kid to your wife. You become a little whiny kid. And that's what I've had to wrap my head around in the last 5 or 6 months, is that I didn't need training. I want to coach. Mm-hmm. And I needed to train, but I want to coach. And so it's a whole different mindset, and you look at people differently. You see things differently. I see my marriage differently. I see my clients differently. I see my kids, my friends, all those things differently. And that has really opened up our space of things that we've got to do and see in the last 6 months. And I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's going to be a whole different ball game with Bree at home in the mornings, and just spending time together, doing lunch in the afternoon, which we don't ever. I mean, it's been years since we do lunch, like on a Monday. We're like, what are we doing at lunch on a Monday? Something like that. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we're trying to explain to our oldest, he's 10, about, mommy and daddy could, go out of town and we could work from, like the hotel or whatever. And she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Yeah. But yeah, we can do like Zoom calls for clients. And she's just like, that's your job? Yeah. Like, what?
It's like, she's not seeing any value in it right now. Like, what do you mean? You just get paid to go on Zoom? I'm like, yeah, believe it or not. This is the new ball game for us.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. And, because after 20 years of in the fitness business, 20 years in the hair business, Bree will still be in the salon and still do hair every once in a while, but to go full in the coaching and do all that, we want to, and we feel called to. And man, just in the short time I've been in it in 4 months, and Bree's been doing it for 3 weeks now. Things we've seen and already have felt, it's been pretty cool. So
I'm going into it with 13 clients starting the first of the year, which is cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect, but it's nice to have already made money leading into it and not doing it like, just stop doing hair and now start coaching. This year or this month has overlapped a little bit, and that's been nice. Although I was super scared to do that because I thought, how on earth can I provide my clients with what they need? But it's amazing. It's all worked out, and it's been great. And I really am looking forward to now having more time to invest in the coaching program. And just what I've done so far, I've fallen in love with that one-on-one community and connection with these women who are now seeing the success in like volumes that they never could have even imagined. I had one client, we were working together for like 17 days, and she increased her revenue by $6,500 for the month already, and we were only 17 days in. And so to look at her previous December in comparison to this December, she was like, her mind was blown. It just was simple adjustments of her showing up differently and being the person she wants to become now and claiming that for her life now. And it's been super powerful. So it's stories like that where you can hand someone a client in my salon and it changed their weekly revenue, but I hand them 10 clients for the year and that changed their life. And I was able to do that for 6 stylists. And I now, doing that, I feel like so motivated and excited to watch them grow now and to see them care for my clients. I know these are people that were trained by me and know my expectation and my service requirements, if you will, or standards. And I'm excited to watch them now implement their own also and add to what I've already been doing. So it's just, change is hard, but choose your hard. Mm-hmm. I want this to be powerful and a good pivot and move. And it's funny because if you allow yourself to get consumed in the background noise, no one would shift or pivot. But when you are so focused and engaged on a target, it's just like a whole new world of sniper.
Yep.
There's nothing holding you back. So
keep your head down, go.
That's right.
So
all right, well, I think that's a good handle on where we're going into 2024. And come 2024, we're going to share some testimonies with you from clients and things that we've pulled away from coaching ourselves, revealing things about ourselves we didn't know and working through that process together. And, we'll be a little bit more raw and real with you and dig a little deeper.
Yep.
So it's super powerful.
And if you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe and a like. And if you are listening on any podcast platform, give us a like and a subscribe and leave a comment. We'd greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
Until next time, God is good, and we're out.
We are out.